Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to fundamentally shift how you think about your wallet, your bank account, and really your entire future. We're diving deep into the psychological barriers to wealth, using some absolutely incredible data-backed insights from government research, academic studies, and those big, best-selling financial frameworks you've probably heard of. We so often think of wealth as this pure math problem, right? But as we're about to see, it's actually almost entirely a behavioral one.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at the financial preparedness gap, why psychology beats math, how money is literally life energy, the stages of behavior change, and finally, planning for real life. Let's get right to it. Section 1, the financial preparedness gap.
First up, let's face the reality of how prepared we actually are for life's inevitable curveballs. According to this really fascinating Making Ends Meet report by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, there is a massive gap between what consumers think they need in emergency savings and what they actually have sitting in the bank. When you ask people, hey, are you financially prepared for an unexpected shock? Their perceived preparedness almost never matches reality. And the CFPB found this isn't just a minor oversight, it completely impacts people's baseline sense of financial security. What this brilliantly illustrates is that if you lack a saving habit, and then bam, you experience a financial shock, your well-being just plummets, and your finances literally begin to control your life. The CFPB research highlights that consumers who report their monthly habit as don't save are significantly more likely to struggle with bills over the course of a year. And honestly, here's the kicker. This gap exists across all income levels. It really doesn't matter if you have a massive salary. If a negative shock hits and you don't have that mechanical habit of saving built in, the compound effect causes some severe strain. Moving on to Section 2, Psychology over Math. So if lacking savings is the core problem, the solution isn't just about crunching numbers on a calculator, right? It's about fundamentally rewiring our mindset. Morgan Housel points this out perfectly in his book, The Psychology of Money. Accumulating wealth is largely behavioral. It's not about technical skill. We get trapped into thinking we need this complex, high-level financial literacy to succeed, but Housel argues we actually just need to master our own emotional biases. Things like ego and pride completely cloud our judgment. We make these rash, emotional choices, panic selling when the market drops, or buying things just to impress the neighbors. Building wealth? It's really all about behavior, patience, and perspective. Because of that, the crucial point here is that you should aim for a pretty reasonable financial strategy that you can actually stick to, rather than some ultra-rational, textbook-perfect plan that just fails the second it hits the real world. A rational plan might look completely flawless on a spreadsheet, but it doesn't account for human emotion, or the fact that your biggest financial decisions are usually made at the kitchen table, not in an Excel file. A reasonable plan, on the other hand, actually acknowledges your unique risk tolerance and your lifestyle. Like investment experts note when reviewing Housel's work, staying in the game is what matters most. And a reasonable plan? That's exactly what keeps you in the game. Section 3, money is life energy. To build that reasonable plan we just talked about, we have to fundamentally redefine how we view the dollars leaving our bank accounts. In the classic book, Your Money or Your Life, Vicki Robin and the late Joe Dominguez completely reframe money simply as life energy. Instead of looking at a price tag in dollars, they force us to stop and ask, how much of our finite, precious time on Earth are we willing to sell for this purchase? Dominguez, who actually managed to retire at age 31, by the way, proved that when you realize money is just your life energy, it immediately puts you firmly back in the driver's seat of your financial life. Let's break down how this actually works. When you factor in the time and money spent commuting and decompressing, your true wage drops significantly. Sure, you might make $20 an hour on paper, but when you subtract the cost of commuting, your work clothes, and the money you spend just trying to decompress from a stressful job, you might actually be pulling in a true hourly wage of $10 an hour. That means a $100 purchase doesn't just cost $100, it literally costs you 10 full hours of your life energy. So is that new decorative chair really worth 10 hours of your life? I mean, maybe, but maybe a $1,000 vacation is incredibly worth 100 hours of life energy because it brings you genuine joy. Reframing it this way changes how you evaluate absolutely every single transaction.
Which brings us to Section 4, stages of behavior change. Now that we're seeing money as our finite life energy, how do we scientifically break the bad habits that drain it? What's fascinating here is that researchers at the University of Rhode Island have proven that getting out of debt isn't some moral failing. It's actually a mechanical, behavioral challenge with very distinct phases. They took the trans-theoretical model of change, which is usually used in the health world to help people quit smoking or start exercising, and they applied it directly to consumer credit card debt. They interviewed debt counselors and real consumers to map out exactly how people successfully change their financial habits. The model outlines 5 exact steps consumers go through. It kicks off at pre-contemplation, where you have zero intention to change. Then it moves through contemplation and preparation, into action, and finally maintenance. And the researchers defined successfully changing behavior very clearly here. It means paying more than the minimum required each month, halting unnecessary purchases, and completely stopping credit card use altogether. Now, to actually move through those stages, you have to use different tools at different times. In the early stages, you really rely on emotional, experiential shifts. You need consciousness-raising or dramatic relief, which is basically waking up to the harsh reality of your debt and letting yourself feel the negative emotions attached to it. But as you transition into the later action and maintenance stages, emotions just aren't enough to keep you going. You have to switch to strict behavioral processes. You need stimulus control, literally removing the cues that trigger you to spend, and counter-conditioning, which just means swapping out your old spending habits for healthy alternative behaviors. And finally, Section 5, planning for real life. By combining this behavioral science with a new psychological perspective on money, we can start designing a plan that works in the real world. As both the psychology of money and your money or your life argue so well, accumulating wealth should never be the ultimate goal. It's just a tool. It's a tool to help you achieve true freedom and live your ideal life. Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez beautifully wrote that we don't have to choose between financial success and a meaningful existence. We can balance our inner and outer lives. So when someone asks your money or your life, you can just smile and say, "I'll take both, thank you." So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to take a hard look at your life energy and your daily habits. It is so incredibly easy to take financial cues from friends, colleagues, or random online experts. But remember Morben Housel's point. Everyone is playing a completely different financial game with different time horizons and different goals. Ask yourself, is your financial plan serving some arbitrary spreadsheet number, or is it truly serving the life you want to live? Identify your unique behavioral tendencies, figure out your true hourly wage, and then ask yourself, what game are you really playing?